Welcome back to NTR Radio.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, the main topic we have, I think you came up with, Anubis, or
Yes,
maybe VZ
indeed.
did,
That
is the
was
future of anime television, and by that we mean TV series.
well the past, present, and future of anime on TV.
Yes. Okay. So how do you want to get this ball rolling?
I mean, so I think it's pretty much safe to say that. It's definitely safe to say for me. I don't know about you two, but anime on TV, like American television, is pretty pivotal to my my formative years as far as anime fan goes.
Yeah, in my case, that's a little bit more wiggly than that because
same. It's a little bit. Well, you go because
I mean, like there were things when I was younger. I mean, like Voltron and that sort of shit. Didn't know it was anime or even whatnot because they tried their hardest to make sure there was no Japaneseness to it.
Right.
But no, I mean, once you get toward the mid '90s and whatnot, you start getting, Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon and stuff like that start creeping on there.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it was there. It's just one of those things where I was largely renting video and buying stuff out of catalogs for a while there. I mean, I know you have a completely different sort of entryway to it and a different relationship kind of with it. When it did come on TV, I was like, oh.
Yeah, so like, you already knew what it was back when it did start coming on TV at scale.
Right, because of it being on like Sci-Fi Channel and that sort of stuff. I mean, but when it eventually started hitting like Gundam Wing was a big thing, it was everybody at school and shit like that was talking about it.
VZ,
well, not everybody, but VZ? Did we lose him? No,
I'm right here. Yeah, similar experience to K-Gods. Mine was sort of coax, conjoint, or with like the sort of knowing about some of these things backwards. Like I knew about Gundam through the model kits and toys. Would be at least a decade till I would have seen any actual Gundam anime.
Okay.
All right. So like,
and that's why I had absolutely no context for any of that stuff that I was getting at that time. And again, like I was in junior high school, so this was like the mid '90s. Reading, decided, hey, you know what? I have this Gundam novel. It's the second one of the three. I'll do a book report on it. How hard can that be? Oh man! But I'm glad to know that because I would do anything to know where that book report is. Probably got thrown out in the flood, or I don't know. But I remember like having such a tough time knowing what was going on. But the thing was, I thought it was just me. No, it just turns out it's just the way Tomino writes.
Well, Tomino is a very special individual.
Well, this is even more so him. This is his pure, unfiltered Tomino. I'm not doing this to sell model kits and toys. This is purely the way he wanted it to be. No, but there was, the stuff that was on TV, the Sailor Moons, Tekkaman Blade or Technoman was a big one for me.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like occasionally you'd get like a movie vampire.
Yeah, well, I had it wasn't until the later '90s when I actually had satellite that I was able to see a lot of stuff like on the Sci-Fi Channel and.
Right, like you would occasionally catch Iria or something like that.
Yeah. Action Channel, Encore Action Channel actually showed a lot of good
and
stuff.
and you still get those on like Stars and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I did rent a few things. The Guyver OVAs.
Right, and
MD Geist.
early one for me was like Birdie the Mighty, a couple things like that.
Right. Oh, I saw that one on the Action Channel.
The dub is I would charitably call it bad. But anyway.
Then when I was in art school, I rented a bunch of stuff because the library opened up the last year I was there. So I rented as much as I was able to do in that short time. I was renting all of Evangelion.
You were doing it with the 2-episode tapes, no doubt.
Yeah, the tapes or DVDs. They actually had both.
See, by the time I had gotten into Evangelion, anime on DVD wasn't really a thing yet.
But the best part is, just as I finished that up, the one of the classes I had, I told you this, we were watching End of Eva.
And half, if not the entire class, had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he tried to give some context beforehand, Oh,
I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall to hear that.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when I hear people making these quote-unquote contextual things for Eva, it's just complete nonsense and stuff they made up.
Yeah, it's talking about like how, it's painful for these pilots to, pilot these things and,
Yeah. Anyway, LCL is not THC. Please stop. Anyway.
Well, like how when the Avas get attacked, they feel the pain.
Yeah, like the arm gets severed and they're like, or...
Yeah.
I think but that's more based upon the neural shit, right?
Yeah. That's a pretty simple explanation. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
had trouble explaining that to people. It's like,
I don't understand why, because
the pilot feels what the robot feels. There,
right.
I just explained that to everyone.
But that doesn't mean like their actual arm dies or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, of course I had to explain that they're biomechanical. They're not,
Yeah, and they newsflash, they have souls inside of them.
Yeah, he actually introduced me as like, he's the anime guy or something like that. And the weird thing is, I hadn't even seen as much as now. At the time as now.
Well, obviously you haven't seen as much as you've seen now.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, it's like But the thing was, he was using the Susan Napier book as a way a teacher would use like a textbook.
Crap.
Yeah. And the one student didn't want to read the chapter on hentai. On adult.
Did they have like a spazoid moment?
No, it wasn't that bad. But I was trying to be like, well, there's actually like a reverse roles, because in like the Yosuke Doji, there's the guy that was like, the not the main guy, but the other guy in the second episode, and he was sucking the foot of the woman that before he becomes like the monster.
Oh yeah. The one that basically like, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right. But whatever. It was, man, was that
that would not have been fun.
Yeah.
Not even because of the people like that, but just explaining stuff to people that either don't care or are hostile to whatever you're going to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's if you're gonna do the Japan is all sexist, or this stuff is sexist, you're not really thinking culturally and contextually.
You're being too simplistic.
Yeah, you're having a way too narrow view, and you're just doing the knee-jerk reaction, the feminist reaction of like, this is sexist.
Well, it was art college, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've been fruity forever.
Yeah.
Anyway, put it this way, they're the ones who actually would probably have enjoyed a comic that sound like I'm inside of an orange and tried to actually decipher that. Anyway. So
I basically had the opposite introductions. I watched anime on TV first, and then after that was when I started getting into like home video and all that.
The system works.
So yeah, I got into it through. I'm part of the very early Toonami generation.
Mm-hmm.
Back when it was hosted by Moltar from Space Ghost.
Right, and they basically ran Sailor Moon, DBZ, Gundam Wing, and Tenchi Muyo.
Well, that was later on. I'm talking about back when like they first started showing Voltron and shit.
Oh, and Giant Robot Week.
Okay.
Giant Robot Week was also later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like some of my first anime were Voltron and Sailor Moon and DBZ and Robotech.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's sort of, I guess, our history with the television aspect of it.
You know, Robotech was kind of, and Voltron too. Yeah, I knew about those things. But in the actual decade when they aired, I only saw very little.
Well, see, here's my problem with TV anime, just in general, is a lot of anime are so serial that if you miss one episode, you miss some major points. If you miss 2 episodes, good luck.
Right, well...
And especially back then when you couldn't just the net.
Yeah. So with something like Robotech, where there's some significant things that happen in most of the episodes.
Well, back then, TV was very... this was before, like, the cartoon block.
Mm.
You know, like how they would have, like, the Fox Kids block and all that. It was basically like syndication.
Right.
So it was whatever channels would pick up these things, and I guarantee you that a lot of times stuff was like out of order in reruns.
Yeah, that reminds me of a slight aside is when, like, somebody at a network gets the fun idea to basically, I don't know, like show the Rocky movies 5-1, and you'll be like, why the fuck are they doing that?
Yeah, it was like the other day they were playing Godzilla movies, and they played Terror Mechagodzilla right before Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. It's like, shouldn't it be the other way around?
Yeah, I mean, occasionally there's just some very strange stuff you'll see, like you'll see the Star Wars movies mangled or like that.
Right.
I mean, I guess, if they got the license, they can do whatever they want with it to broadcast it in whatever order, but you would think they would always do it, maybe not chronologically, but at least, in order if you're going to show stuff.
Well, right. As far as the Star Wars movies go, well, no, I mean, as far as anime goes, even if when it is in order, like for some shows, if you miss one episode,
you're going to be lost.
Yeah, you can't follow the show anymore unless you like really pay attention for the subsequent 8 episodes to figure out what you might have missed.
Mm-hmm. Right, or you might get lucky and hit like a flashback or compilation episode or something like that.
Hit up a recap episode and get all that back.
Right. I mean, that was one of the things. I mean, again, harp on this, but Gundam Wing had one right in the middle. Had 2 actually, right in the middle of the show that basically divided the kind of in half.
Right.
And if you're gonna do it, that's the spot to do it.
Oh yeah, the commercial break, right? Yeah. But sometimes they would add multiple commercial breaks.
Oh yeah, they would also kind of mangle the commercial break.
The worst was, yeah. By the way, the worst that I ever seen for that was like when I was watching all of Gurren Lagann on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Mm-hmm.
And there were multiple. It was like, it's like, oh, another commercial outside of the regular commercial break.
Well, somebody's got to. I mean, they got to sell you your Flex Seal. I mean, come on.
It was that, and then sometimes like, I remember they were having this big event where they were showing like it's going to be the last 4 episodes of Zoid's Chaotic Century, or Zoid's Guardian Force as it was at that point in time in the story. And I think I caught like 2 out of the 4 of them, and I just missed the other 2. So long story short, I've never seen the last 2 episodes of Zoid's Chaotic Century. And it's as a result of, hey, you just missed it. And that's what can happen with TV anime, is that you can just miss something and for years not be able to see the end of it.
I also had
There was also the stuff like they did. VZ, you mentioned the Giant Robot Week, so it's like, okay, we're showing some episodes of Martian's successor Nadesco, and so that's the first place I saw Nadesco, and it wouldn't be till years later where I decided, hey, I saw this anime. I saw like an episode of this anime on Toonami one time several years ago.
And I remember thinking it was swanky, you know.
I thought it was pretty cool. Let me buy the box set, sight unseen. And turns out it's my second favorite anime now.
But well, it's hard to resist. You get to burning.
But yeah, but it's a tough way to get into the medium, especially looking at
given
it
the
nowadays.
prices that some of these things would go for. Even, I mean, let's be honest and real here. This is not a cheap hobby.
Oh no, absolutely not.
That joke about drugs would be cheaper is probably fucking true.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would no, I'm not exact. I don't really keep tabs on how much illicit substances are actually costing by the pound or whatever.
We're
but
not up on the street prices here.
What's sad is I actually could find out real quick. Not even from the internet, just from fucking people around here. I guarantee somebody would know.
But I mean, yeah, like no anime I've watched on TV I've ever seen the complete version of on TV as I watched it, because
that was another aspect that I kind of this notion that it was so very rare to see an entire series of anime at that time. It was just unfathomable that you would have been able to see, unless it was like a short OVA thing.
Right, most of the time you saw movies and things like that. And obviously those are self-contained most of the time, so
yeah.
Well,
at least
like
the ones
I saw all of Fooly Cooly when it was on Adult Swim, because that's
right,
just
which is
6
what,
episodes.
6 episodes?
Yeah, but there was an entire era of Inuyasha that I just missed completely.
Right,
Like
and
20
those
or
long
some
ass TV
episodes.
shows are like that too.
Yep.
It was like how when I was buying Sentai tapes in the 90s, and I discovered Gal Gar, and they had 2 on a tape. It had 2 of the later episodes. I'm like, oh, let me get into this Gal Gar, and so I bought some tapes of, and it had like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, and that was it for many years of. But at the time, I was like satisfied with, what I seen.
Okay, let's bring about another thing that's kind of true about anime on TV, and in limited quantities and whatnot with VHS and all that. You had to be a lot more. Let's just say that being picky wasn't really in your favor at that point. Because
you got what you
could.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds fucked up, but it's kind of true, because you really didn't have the types of access like you do now. I mean, you can't just pop up on, I don't know, Right Stuff or Robert's Anime Corner or wherever. And just be like, I want that, and that. No, I mean, I had to order out of a catalog at one point, and it would take forever to get some shit. And again, you would get VHS, and you would get sometimes 2-3 episodes of tape. I mean, that was what you got.
Well, I mean, it's even easier nowadays than you're portraying it. Just click over
sure.
to Crunchyroll and say, hey, you have all the anime on Crunchyroll.
You know, that was another thing. That was another thing that, like, very rarely, if you notice, like, during when anime on VHS was around, it was movies and OVAs. It was very rarely TV series. They would sometimes try to put some stuff on TV that was like TV anime onto, but very rarely would they be able to go through because most of these things were like 50 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think every company had at least one or two. I mean, that they always did. I mean, like Central Park Media had all the Slayer stuff. Let's see here. Pioneer had Fushigi Yugi, I believe. Yeah.
Honestly, it was really I hate to credit, but not that but Evangelion.
And ADV had Evangelion.
Yeah, because I really can't think of much before. Where
Viz had Ranma half.
Right, Ranma and Urusei Yatsura.
Yes, which by the way is available again on Blu-ray.
Yes.
Just came kind of back around, which I actually will probably pick that up.
Although I think even before that, it was only that movie that came out, the Beautiful Dreamer.
Right, but yeah, I mean, they have you were right. A lot of stuff was just movies and OVAs and whatnot. This was especially true with like US Manga Corps or something like that.
I got a better one for you. All right. Oh no, two better ones because you're gonna know. Like Fist and North Star, it was only that 1986 movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or since you're a fan, Dirty Pair.
Yeah, you get like Flight 005 Flight 005
Yeah, it was that. It was the movie. It was the two.
Or that and Project Eden.
Yeah.
Basically, you got those off of who the fuck had those?
Streamline,
that's right. Yeah. They even didn't they have the Orion thing on there too? Because that was an imprint of theirs?
Orion was kind of the Streamline was kind of part of Orion.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was like an imprint of.
Right.
Okay. Again, I guess I could have just looked it up, but not actually doing that.
Well, actually, another thing they used to do on tapes is I told you about this. Actually, one of the probably the first anime thing even before, was this thing called Attack of the Super Monsters, which was half animation and half tokusatsu. But it was basically this show called Eisenborg, and they took the first couple of episodes and put that on a tape, and they did that a lot in the early VHS era, when they didn't want to when there was this new market of rental stores, but they weren't gonna commit an entire TV series, and certainly not something on TV. So they would just license these things really cheap and just put the first couple of episodes, and make like a movie out of it.
Mm-hmm.
They did that with a bunch of old robot shows too.
That's a fucking hilarious way. It's the old school anime licensing was just wild. They just did whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yeah, it got really, really strange. There was, let's just say, there's a reason some things are in limbo.
Yeah, it's like the way the normal way now that it's like an anime gets licensed and it comes out a year later, DVD and Blu-ray. It's like, but you would think that would have been but no, that's not how it was done then.
No, it was just this chaotic fucking miasma of shit.
Yeah.
You really did not have a whole lot of rhyme or reason to a lot of it.
Yeah. And of course, when the tape era came, a lot of that was sort of dictated by the sort of we got this emerging market of teens and young adults, so we have to bring out stuff that's like the most edgy.
Right, which is how you got what was basically the UK scene, really.
Right.
Which is probably also why they had this odd culture shock to Moe. Simply for the fact that most of the stuff that got released there, or licensed to be released there legally, was all these like one-shot OVAs and
Yeah,
things
but
like
they
that.
had a culture shock to the hyper-violent stuff too. Remember, that stuff was like,
Well, yeah, but the thing is they didn't seem to be bitching about that as much.
No, that stuff was very controversial then. Really, far more than here. They were really like, the again, because it was stuff like Yurusuke Doji.
Well, yeah, but that's a little different though.
Mm.
Uh,
But I know what you're getting at.
I mean,
the cute stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like to this day, there's a lot of bizarre sort of like, why is anime like this?
Yeah, but granted, that's a lot of the most people that do the why is anime like this isn't really from the Akira era people. It's from the people who are unfortunately more like in Anubis's age bracket, which is the Tsunami era, because they were exposed to Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star and Gundam Wing.
So, but it's the same idea. It was a cultivated thing, to where
one type of anime was being shown, but the access was opened up.
On a certain level, though, here's the thing. So I got into it in the Toonami era, so I was exposed to the Robotech and the Gundam Wing and the Dragon Ball Z, but I was also exposed to Tenchi Muyo, which is the one contention that I have with other people of the Toonami generation who harken back to all the Gundam Wing and the Robotech and whatnot, and I'm like, they also showed Tenchi Muyo.
I know this because I know this because my peers hated it.
Yeah, it was my favorite show of that era. And I was always sad when they took it off the air, because I'm like, oh, okay, my favorite show's gone. So, and they had Tenchi Muyo. I'm looking at the list now. They had Tenchi Muyo, they had Tenchi Universe, they had Card Captor Sakura, the American version.
The less said about it, the better.
They showed Zoid's New Century. There's plenty of cute girls in that show. Zoid's Chaotic Century, plenty of cute girls in that show. Hamtaro, that's quite a ways away from your giant robot fighting anime.
True enough.
They were showing a whole bunch of very diverse stuff, and realistic. There a whole lot of very diverse stuff, and you kind of see that paradigm going into stuff that was showed on Adult Swim later. So this is around like 2002, 2003 when they started up showing anime on Adult Swim. And
I actually remember seeing the Tenchi movie on, like, again, the Encore Action Channel.
See, I don't think they might have shown one of them, but I don't think they ever really went in on the movies in Toonami. But
I don't believe they did.
You started up on Adult Swim, and they were showing stuff in the beginning, like not Code Geass, but Cowboy Bebop, Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho, and whatnot.
I did get a kick out of the fact that they drew these really bad lingerie on them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I remember that. That was pretty amusing.
They did the same thing in when Evangelion was being aired on Giant Robot Week.
Yep. But you also got stuff. You got stuff like Ava later on. You got stuff like Code Geass. You got stuff like Eureka 7. And so
Were you ever into IGPX? I think it was called.
So my IGPX is kind of weird for me because I've never actually seen either show, but I only know of the concepts. I really liked the concept of the first IGPX, the one that came out on Toonami as like a mini series.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Then they came out with the second IGPX, where it turned into a racing anime, and I'm like, I'm all set. I don't need my. I'll watch the car racing anime, no problem. Giant robot racing. Call me a purist, but I think giant robots are for fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Besides, they already did that idea in an OVA called Dead Heat.
Okay. So this is kind of us basically explaining our past with TV, and obviously that's just on the domestic side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
In the present is like you've got Toonami and you've got modern Toonami, which is basically the Adult Swim anime block.
Right.
And nothing really else.
No, I mean almost everything else is streaming.
And I mean the modern Toonami, and I've said this before, I tried, and it just wasn't the same. It just didn't give me the same feeling as old school Toonami did, or quite frankly, even the same feeling as old anime block on Adult Swim did. And I continue to ask the question, where is modern Toonami's equivalent to Tenchi Muyo? Because Tenchi Muyo was so far and away a departure from anything else Toonami was big up in at the time. Because that was the same era as, I'll just go back to the list here to make sure I'm not wrong, that was the same era as G-Force, Gundam Wing, Blue Submarine number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like G Gundam, all that. Same era, but they were also showing Tenchi Muyo. So I'm waiting for modern Toonami's equivalent to Tenchi Muyo, and I'm not sure that's gonna happen because the ethos with modern Toonami seems to be, okay, we're gonna be the action anime block, and
not even just that, but it seems like they do a lot of safe picks. I mean, outside of replaying some of their other stuff, like Outlaw Star and all that. I mean, obviously they pick things up like Space Dandy and so forth. But I think.
Well, now it's like A Promised Neverland and stuff like that.
Well, they pick a lot of stuff that it's like in the least surprising move known to man. Toonami picks up XYZ anime. In the least surprising move known to man, Toonami picks up JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable.
Right.
On a certain level, I feel like the people who would be pumped for any of these shows have already seen these shows.
Well, beyond that, I think the last time they surprised me with something they were playing was probably Akame ga Kill. Like, I remember when I saw that they were playing that, I was like, really? It's kind of odd.
On some level, but at the same time, that's also a very actiony, very bloody.
Right, but it's also extremely gory.
Yeah,
I was surprised that they put up.
I don't think there's any problem with gore. I think there's a problem with like, even though
tits and ass.
Not even that. Even though this would fit in excellently with the quote action anime block unquote ethos, I guarantee you they're not gonna put Girls and Panzer on Toonami anytime soon.
No,
it's not gonna happen. Even though that's one of the best action anime I've seen in recent memory, it's probably not gonna happen.
They're not gonna. They put Kill la Kill on there.
They put Kill la Kill on, but that's also another action anime, also a Studio Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And
you know what I would.
the hugest following here, and more power to them. They make good anime.
Okay,
Not
here's a
necessarily
question to you
not
guys.
necessarily anime that I'm pumped for all the time, but in keeping with, they're not even gonna put all Studio Trigger stuff on there. You're not gonna see Ino battle on Toonami.
What about Gridman? That's my.
I could see them doing that.
That could happen.
I could
Yeah.
see that one.
That could happen. It's an action anime. That could happen.
Yeah, exactly. And the
You
fan
not-
service
my point
is kept pretty light.
My point is, there is no modern Tenchi Muyo equivalent. Because
So
Tenchi Muyo was, as much as it was an action anime, it was just as much a romance anime, just as much a comedy anime. Tenchi Universe was basically completely
Well, come on, man. You know they're never gonna play that.
That's being unreasonable. But like, Tenchi Universe was completely comedy, and they showed that shit on Toonami, and we don't have an equivalent on modern day Adult Swim because they're going with a separate ethos that they think is the same ethos as original Toonami was.
Well, I mean,
because
you're
they're
not
only
gonna...
focusing on a particular subset of people who enjoyed old school Toonami.
Yeah, and I have a feeling there's a strong cross-pollination with wrestling fans in this contingent.
Somehow.
No, I know there is.
I also and
Oh, so is that why they put Kick Hard on there?
they put Kick Hard on Toonami?
It was actually on Adult Swim,
They put Kick Hard on Adult Swim?
yes, they did.
So what you're saying is all 7 people who saw Kick Hard just saw it on Adult Swim.
Well, beyond all that...
Oh, I'm sorry I'm real sorry to interrupt. One more thing. You know what's gonna air in like July?
What?
Which is kind of Gundam the Origin.
That's not really an okay because they showed the TV anime they made out of Gundam Unicorn on Toonami.
Yeah, well, I think that's gonna be the TV version of Origin.
Yeah, that's
I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah, which I heard that Unicorn didn't do too well when it aired on there.
I
which
guarantee you that's the case because we're gonna drop you not even right in the middle, right at the end of early UC Gundam.
Which, if you have no idea what's going on before the show starts,
it's mid UC Gundam.
I'm saying early UC. I'm saying early UC, which dealing with the Federation Xeon conflict, as opposed to late UC, which is still in the UC but is not dealing with the Federation Xeon conflict.
All right.
So we're not only are we gonna drop you right at the end of that era, we're gonna drop you right at the end of that era in an anime that continually makes reference to other events that happened during that era. So we're going to drop you into the anime that's basically the culmination and the celebration of early UC Gundam and the Federation Xeon conflict. Yeah. No doubt that didn't do too well because people were watching it in a world where Double Zeta Gundam hadn't come out.
Well,
in a world where Double Zeta Gundam was not a thing for people. In a world where Zeta Gundam wasn't a thing for a lot of people. So I guarantee you that didn't do too well because the people watching it didn't know what they were didn't know what they were watching. And number 2, and this is gonna be a point I keep coming back to, everyone who's seen Gundam Unicorn, everyone who wants to see Gundam Unicorn has already seen Gundam Unicorn.
Well, okay, I got to get an edge in here. Forget my point. Yeah, I mean, to understand Gundam Unicorn. Bleh.
Where's my drop?
See?
Let's.
You don't have the rings?
I should have the rings somewhere, but I don't. Let's do this one.
Shit.
Okay, that'll work. Yeah. So yeah. Bleh, I got tongue twisted. Unicorn. You almost have to have seen First Gundam, Zeta, and Char's counterattack minimum to get it.
Yeah.
You at least have to have seen those 3, or you're not gonna be able to follow it. I mean, you'd probably want to see more than that, but I think you would have to, at bare minimum, have seen those 3 to basically make a whole hell of a lot of sense out of it.
Yeah.
And, well, they only showed the first one in movie form, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
right? Or I thought.
Well, Toonami, back in the day.
No, it was the TV one, not
they
TV.
showed the TV series back in like 2002.
Oh, you're right, they did.
So if you were
Yeah, no, it was 2001, and they canceled it because they said
of 9/11. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So back in like 2001.
But they didn't play Zeta at all. I know they.
No, they were planning to. They were planning to because they were going to put out the toy line for that. They had it all set up, and then it got pulled, and they put Gundam Seed instead.
How unfortunate.
That's just kind of strange, really.
So here's what you need to have enjoyed Gundam Unicorn Ray 0096 when it aired on Toonami. You will have needed to watch the first Gundam as it was airing on Toonami, then found a way to continue watching it after it was canceled, then found a way to watch Zeta Gundam, then found a way to watch Double Zeta and Char's Counterattack. Between 2001 and 2017, you will need to find a way to make all those connections. And by that point, you'll have already watched Gundam Unicorn because that was out for years prior.
In OVA form.
Yeah. So...
which, by the way, is the better way to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go on record with that.
So yeah, it's no surprise that that it didn't do well on Toonami because you're trying to show someone like part 8 of something that guarantee you, if Toonami's the main way they're watching it, guarantee you that they haven't seen like part 1 of this thing.
So do you think the Origin would fare better, or is it like
No, you need to have watched this Gundam to understand the Origin.
To get much, I mean, you could still watch it, but you can't enjoy it on the level meant to.
It's not like 8th MS Team or 0080 that you can watch either of those independently, not having seen First Gundam at all, and
still get most of it.
Yeah, you'll still get a lot out of it.
Whereas Origin makes so many references and ties in directly to certain elements of the original one that if you haven't seen it, they won't even pop out.
Yeah. Origin.
Oh, by the way, they did air on
who Char is to understand the Origin. To know who Char is, you have to have watched First Gundam.
They did air on Toonami at the time. Char's Counterattack.
Yeah, I know. They also did Stardust Memory and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
They aired the OVAs, which is reasonable because maybe not.
Those
Stardust
are standalone.
Memory, but 8th MS Team, War in the Pocket, you can watch those on your own, and
sure,
you'll be fine. The problem with, and realistically, this is why if they're gonna go forward with putting out Gundam on Toonami, they should just stick with AU, because
those are contained.
Yeah, those are contained. You don't need to. You don't need to have prior knowledge of.
Right. Well, they did show Iron Blooded Orphan.
Yeah, and that's reasonable.
Right, because that's its own world. You can go in there completely blind and you're.
See, if Bandai at the time wasn't so wanting First Gundam and UC to be as big in Japan as it would be here, X would have been the perfect thing to release right after Wing.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Now the reason I believe this is because, I mean, obviously I own and I've seen X, and while I like it a lot, I know American audiences reasonably well, and I don't think it would have went over nearly as well.
Really?
Yeah, I do think that.
I think having G Gundam come in after Wing, which they did.
Makes more sense.
After first they tried First Gundam, but they put out G Gundam. I think that makes a lot more sense than X would have.
Yeah, right. Because X didn't do all that well to begin with, which is a shame because it's a good show. But based upon all the things about it, and based upon what I know about diehard Wing people and stuff, no, I don't think it would have done very well.
Imagine if they put Turn A on.
That would be a little bit of a culture shock. After Wing,
yeah, I would
you're
say
gonna put
so.
Turn A. People are gonna
because Turn A is a weird one. Yeah, Turn A is weird no matter how you slice it.
I got a better one for you.
Why are we with this weird shit?
I got a better one for you. What if they put on Toonami or Adult Swim? We're shopping around for some mecha anime. You know, we just look, this thing called Brain Powered. Let's put that on TV. Let's see how that does.
Yeah, I don't think that ever would have come across to any of the people that were in charge of that to do that.
Exactly.
Like unless they were trying to like do some kind of weird trolling or something.
My mom tried to abort me in her 9th month of pregnancy.
That's
New York.
That's awfully topical in this day and age.
Yeah,
I'm not touching that. No.
Or I don't know if it was the same character or another one, but it goes, you couldn't even find a man to love. You had to use artificial insemination.
So are incels? Anyway.
Grey Forest in the IRC. I wonder how Darling in the Franxx would go down on Toonami.
Yeah, interesting.
That's one I could almost see them doing.
Yeah, I could almost see them doing that.
Funimation owns it, so yeah.
Well, that's not why I said that.
I don't think that matters anymore.
I think the main reason that wouldn't show up there is because the same people screeching about Shield Hero really hated that one.
Okay, I got one for you because I wondered about would Cells at Work work on Toonami?
No.
They wouldn't bother with anything like that.
Really?
No.
Really? What? Too highbrow?
No.
It's
too educational.
It's the action anime block.
So.
But there's action. What do you mean? But there's action in Cells at Work.
Yeah, there's action in it, but is it an action anime?
No. It does not. It's a square peg in a round hole kind of thing.
But they put Pop Team Epic on there too.
Yeah, but that's another one where it's in the least surprising move imaginable.
Because you got to be high to understand it.
Remember,
well, a lot of hipsters like that show.
Well, here's the thing. Remember, current Toonami is basically a block in Adult Swim. You don't think Adult Swim's gonna jump on an anime that has their exact brand of humor? Like exactly. Of course, Pop Team Epic's on there.
Which, by the way, I couldn't be the only one that couldn't stand when it was airing.
I didn't bother with.
I just didn't pay no attention.
No,
to it.
not that one.
Here's how I knew I went. Go ahead.
Not Pop Team Epic. But because I'm thinking in a similar vein. What's the name? Super Milk Chan.
I had infinitely less of a problem with Super Milk Chan than I did with Pop Team Epic. I can't even say I had a problem with Pop Team Epic.
I just don't care.
Because like I saw when the Nendroids were coming up for pre-order, like my distributor sent me the email and it's like, okay, we're getting the Pop Team Epic Nendroids in, and I saw the Nendroids and I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about this property, but I can already tell it's not my thing. Just looking at the Nendroids, just looking at like the giant middle finger accessory and like the weird faces, I'm like, okay, I know what this is going for. Not my thing. I'm all set. Didn't pre-order any of those, by the way. But that's the thing, is that I don't see a Tenchi Muyo equivalent, something that's that level of we're gonna put something that's that level of cute girl harem anime on modern day Toonami, and that's one reason among several that I'm not feeling it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel like there's a purpose to it. Like,
I mean,
who is Toonami for?
There are some people like my younger cousin who they still get their anime knowledge through stuff that what's shown by Toonami.
Why?
Their definition of tier 1 fan. That's not that it makes them a bad person. It's that,
I get
it's
it.
that
Like,
they don't go that extra level the way I do.
what, the way most people who watch anime habitually do.
I guess, but there's still yeah, but it's mostly there's people who their primary interest isn't in anime.
I get
yeah,
it,
I was
but
actually gonna say
that's
sounds
not who Toonami's going for. That's not their demographic, because the whole modern Toonami thing started when Adult Swim did an April Fool's joke and aired a bunch of old school stuff that aired on Toonami and old Adult Swim anime block, and people liked it, and so they started up Toonami again. So modern day Toonami's genesis is in, hey, let's cater to all these anime fans who were around when this stuff was actually on CTV a whole lot. So it's not their main demo. I don't feel like their main demo is people who don't watch anime a whole lot and get all their anime knowledge through TV and whatnot.
Yes, that's
Like,
it.
it's a remarkably inefficient way to get information about anything related to anime.
And at the same point, at the same time, like, it's not going to be and this is going to make me sound like a horrible elitist, but it's not going to be a terrible tragedy if people who don't watch anime habitually don't have a way on TV to watch anime.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's like, this really isn't for you, and it's not aimed at you.
Well, I'm not even going to say it's not for anyone. It's not aimed at anyone, but it's like, there's really no, in the modern anime community, there's really no purpose for anime on TV anymore, unless you're someone who, unless somehow these two things are true about you. You watch anime habitually, but only on Toonami, like only on that particular block at that particular point in time. The only time you watch anime is Saturdays at 11 p.m. Like, unless you're that kind of religious cable television person, I guarantee you've found other ways to watch anime, other more efficient ways to watch anime with a larger selection, and it's on demand. You don't need to worry about missing an episode. The only times I ever see Toonami is when we're very specifically when we're in the hotel room at an anime convention and we just have the TV on to Cartoon Network for some reason. Like, for some reason we're watching the TV, but it's not anyone's laptop playing anime we already have.
Yeah. Well, normally when that sort of thing happens, we all just kind of like laughing at Robot Chicken or some shit like that. When somebody's got just, that channel on, it seems like. I
mean, even at that point, we were at the hotel room in Anime Boston, and the TVs just also had Netflix and YouTube. So it's like, well, listen.
I'll be honest with you. Most of the time when we have the TV on places, it's pure wallpaper background shit going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, if it's
unless we're winding down to go to sleep
going on, it could be someone's laptop playing some anime that we already have, and it's, for the most part, it's that.
Yeah.
It's usually some happenstance that it's somehow playing Toonami, and it's someone that it's something playing that everyone's on board with to a level where nobody's suggesting, hey, you want to watch XYZ anime that I have currently with me, the on demand, and we can just watch it anytime we want, in any way we want, without any censorship, or we can choose subs or dubs or whatever we want to do.
You mean you're not gonna watch the edited version of Yusuga Sora?
Oh yeah, of course, you have that right. But it's like,
That's an inside joke.
but
New listeners will have no idea what I'm talking about.
but that's my point. Is like, I've been into anime long enough that I again remember Toonami back when it was hosted by Moltar from Space Ghost, and I look at modern Toonami, and it's like, this doesn't really have anything going for me. It's not really having the same effect, not really having the same utility that old school Toonami did. And part of that's just the times. Like, we're in a different era now. In fact, we've gone through 2 eras since old school Toonami was a thing. We've gone through the era of home video anime at scale. And quite frankly, there were 2 eras of that. There was the era where you were buying like individual DVDs of anime.
Basically piecemeal.
Basically. And then that shifted over to you were buying sets.
Which was the much smarter option.
Yes, indeed. And then that era gave way to the streaming era, which we're in now and have been for the last decade or so. And so we'll
have the beam entire series into your head era.
Hopefully that'll be beneficial for all those people, all those journalists who watch anime at 2 times speed, so they can save time. But yeah, so we've passed the era twice over of anime on TV being a really big, very useful thing. And I guess on some level there's a serendipity factor where I would like to be able to just turn on a channel and have some anime playing, and not
I feel the same way. There is a sort of a nostalgia, but also like a melancholy aspect where you no, not that kind of melancholy, where you or maybe a pining for the day of where you really just were introduced to anime on TV. And you know that way can never happen again, but there's still a part of you that what?
Well, here's the thing. There are solutions like that. There's an app called Pluto TV, and there's basically a bunch of channels, and it acts exactly like old school television did, where it's free, supported by commercials, and there's a whole bunch of channels, and they're each playing something, and you can they have 2 anime channels on there. You can flip to either one of those and see whatever episode of Guy King or Tiger and Bunny they're playing. So you can do that. That's available for people who want to do that. But realistically, that's just at that point, that's just an outgrowth of the streaming era, where they're able to do that because of streaming. So now we're no longer tied down to the television infrastructure. Now we can have streaming platforms like Pluto TV, and I guarantee you there's countless other like fly-by-night websites and whatnot that just show whatever anime is on.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that. You're able to do that because of streaming. You're no longer tied down to the TV infrastructure, and at the same time, we've got stuff like modern Toonami, which is restricted to a few hours, one day out of the week. And the programming is, I don't know the internals of how programs are picked, but they're quite clearly going for a particular direction. So if you're not up on that, you're kind of SOL with modern Toonami. And all the shows are shows that, like, if you really, number one, guarantee you've heard of all these shows. If you're into anime, and again, ostensibly modern Toonami is trying to speak to people who are into anime and have been into anime for a while. So you've already heard of all these shows. You probably already watched all of these shows if you have any interest at all in watching them.
Mm-hmm.
And you, as a result of it being at a very specific time slot, you don't really get that serendipity factor of discovering things as it goes, because unless you just habitually just watch Cartoon Network at midnight Saturday all the time, you don't just happened upon Toonami. It's a deliberate thing, and a lot of people make an event out of it. Like, for a very long time, Toonami was trending on Twitter whenever it was airing, and more power to them, but I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know what the end game of that is, other than, hey, Toonami's on air. We all remember being 10 and going home and watching Toonami. And to be fair, I remember being 10 and going home and watching Toonami too. But my whole point is, okay, I own all the Tenchi series that I care about. I can watch those whenever I want. I can relive that if I really wanted to. If I really wanted to, I could go on Toonami Digital Arsenal, which, quite frankly, I recommend that website to everyone, because it's just an amazing website, because it compiles, and a lot of them are crappy quality, quite frankly, as far as today's standards go.
Mm-hmm.
But they compile.
I'm checking it out right now.
Yeah, so you go to, oh Lord.
Oh.
Okay, so let's do an impromptu Let's News.
Let's News.
Okay, we're not gonna play the whole thing. Toonami Digital Arsenal is down now.
Yeah, I see that.
Due to targeted complaints from a third-party copyright enforcer, assumedly operating on Funimation's behalf, we need to take Toonami Digital Arsenal offline until we're able to properly make our case. Sorry for the inconvenience. We're doing what we can.
Yeah.
So let me tell you what Toonami Digital Arsenal was. Toonami Digital Arsenal was it was a collection of all the promos and bumpers and Toonami versions of the intros for all the anime and stuff Toonami had compiled.
Mm-hmm.
And this website was old school. Like, they've been operating back when original Toonami was airing.
Oh,
and
wow.
They continually just added all the promos and all the bumpers and whatnot that original Toonami had played, and they had everything.
Oh, by the way, I should point out that that's been down for a while. There's a thing here from January this year complaining about it going down, so it ain't coming back, I have a feeling.
Okay. So now just add one more thing to the list, very long list of things I'm mad about. But so what I could have done, just derailed all of my plans, just derailed my entire thing. What I could have done was, if I really wanted to, I could have gone on Toonami Digital Arsenal, downloaded all the bumpers they played before Tenchi Muyo and whatnot, and just made myself my own little Toonami if I really wanted to be that nostalgic. But what really made Toonami for me, and I the charitable thing for me would be to assume this of the other Toonami people. And I say charitable, but I don't want to really make a value judgment. What I'm saying is, the important thing about Toonami for me back in the day was the programming, because it was such a different thing than anything we were getting on TV anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So when Toonami came up, when New School Toonami came up, and it's like, okay, I'll give it a try. And I liked Casher and Sins. I wasn't all that big on Dead Man Wonderland, and I don't even remember what they were airing otherwise. But I watched it and I was like, this doesn't really give me the same sort of feeling. And as things went on and I saw the programming they chose, which is not to say that the programming's bad, but again, I don't see a particular line drawn between old school Toonami and new school Toonami as far as diversity in their programming.
Would you feel better if they aired Toonami during the day, during the week, like it used to?
It would depend on the programming.
I was gonna say, I don't think that would really matter.
It would be better. Well, number one is I wouldn't get the chance to watch it, and a lot of the people who grew up on Toonami like me wouldn't get the chance.
All
to
have
watch
jobs
because we're
hopefully
working. We're working or at school during the day. So that's number one. Number two is it would depend on the programming. It would heavily depend on the programming, and at that point, again, I've already watched all these anime that are either I've already watched it, or it's on my list and I have the means to watch it.
Right.
So I mean, I guess that brings us into the future of anime TV, which I don't think it really has a big future.
No, I think largely streaming has supplanted it here.
Streaming supplanted TV in general in many ways.
Well, the internet in many ways did.
A lot of where, like, you're seeing, if you pay attention to the news surrounding like cable and stuff, you'll hear the term cord cutter, and that's people who just don't have cable, and all their TV style entertainment comes through streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, we don't have cable up in here. Like, why would we do that?
Yeah, so you can watch cable news lie to you.
Like none of us watch live sports, and quite frankly, if anyone of us did that, we'd just go to some place where they're also watching live sports. It's like we're not all three gonna get together and watch like the game. But
I'm sure there's a local bar.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, everyone's getting their Rokus and their Apple TVs and whatnot, because that's just a much more convenient way to watch anything. And a lot of people are watching a lot of stuff that you're not really gonna find on TV. Like, I was over at my parents' house a couple months ago, and we were sitting down watching a Tetris tournament.
That's interesting.
Yeah, a bunch of people playing head-to-head Tetris on NESs, and you're not gonna find that shit on TV.
Oh no!
Happen. But hey,
even esports type stuff probably wouldn't air something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That has very limited appeal.
And I mean, here's the thing: if you go, even going back on TV, they used to have, I remember at least one or two esports shows that used to air on TV, and both of those got canceled.
Most of the time when I would see any kind of esports thing, it would either be something related to Minecraft or like Street Fighter type tournaments.
Wow, Minecraft. What? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what Minecraft's doing in esports. Like, Street Fighter makes sense, but Minecraft is an odd pick for me. I don't know. It's just an odd pick. But my point is, you have a lot of niche things that just are not going to get TV representation because
No,
because of the
it can't
infrastructure.
cast wide enough of a net to be profitable.
Yeah, the infrastructure surrounding TV just isn't conducive to that kind of entertainment.
No.
So you're gonna hop up on your Roku box and go to YouTube and watch that, or you're gonna see companies like Netflix and Amazon funding a lot of these more niche shows because they know they can get an
like
audience.
Stranger Things or something like that.
Exactly. Or like Netflix funding a lot of this anime.
Mm-hmm. Just hope they don't film it in Georgia.
Yeah. But
Two
that's the whole
things
thing.
are funny about that statement.
But yeah, that's the whole thing. You're not gonna TV is as TV slowly continues dying. Anime on TV is gonna fall by the wayside because
Because TV itself is just not really able to really put up much of a fight against this different model.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to drop off their extremities. All the niches, those are all gonna fall off.
Right. Let's be real here. I mean, TV in some form will probably be like your news, and you'll also have like legacy shows like Friends that'll play all the time.
Well, what'll probably really happen is at some point we're gonna see something similar to the switch from analog to digital, and we're gonna instead see the transition from digital to all streaming. So it's all gonna be internet fed, but it's going to operate like live TV. It's going to operate in the same vein as something like a Pluto TV, where it is streaming, but it just looks like it's television.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So basically, don't get too excited. I don't see.
I don't know who's like. Other than making an event of it, other than making an event of the fact that a lot of people who are on Twitter at the same time are watching the same show at the same time. Other than that, I don't know who's watching anime on TV who isn't also watching anime on a Crunchyroll or a High Dive or a pirate site or something like that.
I mean, there does seem to be some kind of like novelty about it, you know? And I think that actually is some of the people that are watching it.
Oh, absolutely. I guarantee you that's most of them. They make an event of it. And that's cool in the gang. But I don't know if that I don't know that has to be TV, and I especially don't know that has to be. Well, I get that Toonami has branding behind it, and that's why it's gotten to this level.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the utility has died off. And this isn't to say that this is all good, because as we talked about with Shinden, TV was a lot of the way a lot of people were brought into anime and sort of coached up into the medium slowly. So as streaming proliferates and as you're able to go on Crunchyroll and see all the anime, and maybe accidentally through on some curiosity happen upon something like Eromanga Sensei when you're very new to the medium, that becomes a problem. And I predict we're going to see some level more of that as less and less, well, realistically, nobody's really getting introduced to anime through TV, but we're going to see more and more of that as time goes on, unless at scale, and this is something that's going to take some doing.
There you go. Put Arrow Manga on Toonami.
See, that's something I could get behind, but we all know that's never going to happen. But like, unless we see a radical shift in the tastemakers and opinion leaders in the subculture, and that's not going to happen. So yeah, future doesn't look bright for anime on TV, but then again, at the same time, like, okay, we're stuck watching certain anime in a certain time slot, and if you miss it, good luck. Or
yeah,
we can have anime, any anime you want on watch through the internet seamlessly whenever you want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it really is very similar to a problem that's hitting the old legacy news networks. And that's that you can just hop on to websites and stuff and basically get all the relevant information in a shorter amount of time.
Yep.
Rather than wait for them to come back for commercials and all this other dumb shit. Granted, that's even if you want to do it. And there's also just, I think they're in kind of a windfall. I mean, I think that's also why you're seeing them both hemorrhage so much money and staff and stuff, because they just really can't keep up with this newer model.
Yeah, it's a massive infrastructure. It's a massive these massive companies with a lot of staff, a lot of overhead, versus you're able to do the same thing they do, but on a much more nimble, a much more
you can curate your entertainment more too.
You can curate your own entertainment, but like you don't need all the corporate and all the personnel behind it the same way you would for a TV thing, because there's just so much involved with that. You're able to be a lot quicker, a lot more nimble, a lot more precise on the internet, and that's why a lot of these big networks, big TV things are kind of suffering in the wake of the internet, because especially news, because you really don't need a whole hell of a lot to start a news site.
No, I mean, a perfect example is I read some CNN is ranked now below like Gardening Network or something like that. Or some shit like that. Or how about that? Here's another good example: is the Weather Channel, which now largely actually has actual programming on.
Yep, they had to pivot,
and they had to, because now you can just turn your phone on and get the weather.
Everyone's carrying one of these plastic rectangles around all the time with them.
That gives them like a 5-day forecast at any time.
Yeah, exactly.
So they have to do something else or more, which is why you got all these like storm chaser shows and things like that.
Yep.
History Channel, it suffered from a different reason, though it's kind of similar in that they have programming that's called, I guess, just reality TV kind of crap.
Right.
But I mean, that was for a little bit of a different reason, but it's similar.
Yeah. So
again, TV in general is not exactly the best of shape.
Yeah, and with it, anime on TV, it has definitely seen better days, and will definitely see worse days. If you ask me, we'll definitely see worse days as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Again, just one of those things where that entire thing is changing.
Yep.
And
mostly for the better, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I would say so.
And some stuff is just gonna get sloughed off as that happens.
And I do expect it to get kind of ugly toward the end of it. I mean, you're gonna see really outrageous shows probably popping out.
Well, yeah, but that's just gonna be like it's not going to get ugly in terms of like people are fighting or anything like that.
No, it's going to get ugly
it's-
in the quality control.
Oh, certainly.
We're going to hit like pure nadir. I mean, in terms of like that sort of thing. I mean, put it this way, the more outlandish, the better it will probably sell.
But here's the thing about all that. Before that happens to TV in general, anime will probably already have had its swan song on regular.
Oh, for sure. Oh, definitely. No, I'm just saying that like as stuff it becomes harder and harder to stand out, they're going and pull in those kind of ratings. They're going to be doing more and more ridiculous shit. I mean, we're already starting to see that a little bit. Just the complete influx of all these really bad reality TV shows that have low content and yet still manage to make a buck, I suppose. And they don't usually have to pay people too much to do it because they're not usually even professional actors. They're just
cheap to produce.
Yeah, and talented writers and all that.
Like that's really as far as anime on TV goes, and we'll leave off on this because we do have one email. As far as anime on TV goes, looking at the rest of TV now, that might be the best stuff on regular ass TV as it exists right now.
Yeah, I mean, because there's some truly horrible stuff.
With that, we're gonna jump to third segment here. Keep it right here on NTR Radio. Welcome back to NTR Radio. We have mail.
You got mail!
This one is coming in from Kiwi the Third. Heyo NTR, here's a quick email. So I recently made a blog for all my DIY stuff, and I'm planning on doing an anime-centric one next. What are your thoughts on doing a blog in the year of our Lord, Haruhi Suzumiya, 2019?
I mean, I would go for it if you have the drive.
Yeah, absolutely go for it.
It's one of those things that's starting to kind of pick back up again.
I've seen that, yes, and I love it.
What does he want to do?
He wants to do an anime blog.
Oh, okay.
I was saying, yeah, I mean, I'm starting to see that kind of pick back up again. I mean, there was a real lull.
Yeah, that was
we kind of covered that when we had Morthel.
Yes.
That, I mean, it's weird because there's some of them that never really stopped, like Random Curiosity and you know, they just kept on trucking even though a lot of other ones kind of died off.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going on it right now, actually. Yeah, I mean, and it was just updated even today.
Wow.
So there you go. At least I think. Anyway, whatever.
But yeah,
the point is yeah, I mean, you'll have no shortage of people that would still be interested.
Yeah, and I feel
as far as I know,
as we saw a lull sort of in the middle of the 2010s where basically a whole lot of people who were doing anime blogs went to Twitter. And then a lot of those people
they went to like YouTube for vlogging or something like that.
Yeah.
Or they did that sort of like streaming interactive kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, but it does look like it's actually starting to kind of come back around.
It does. And quite frankly, and this is just my opinion, I feel like the written word is
more conducive to this sort of thing, I guess.
It's more conducive to anime as a medium.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
Now, make no mistake, I do have some bias in that I've been anime blogging for over a decade. But there's a specific quality that the written word has that I don't feel like is captured as well in video especially, but on some level in audio as well.
I don't disagree.
So yeah, absolutely do an anime blog.
I mean, I've thought of going back to it. I don't know what I would do with it. I would try something probably different if I did.
Right.
But I mean, certainly I don't see any reason not to. Considering I don't know if you're going to be using a free site or what, but I mean, it doesn't really cost all that much.
It doesn't really, like, you can start.
I mean, you can buy a cheap domain, especially if it's like a .moe or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, those aren't expensive at all.
Yeah, if you wanted
for hosting or yeah,
just hit up a cheap .moe and install WordPress and you're golden. Or just go to WordPress.com and they'll give you one for free with some restrictions, but they'll give you one for free. It's not hard.
Yeah, I mean, and there's even outright programs to install it.
Oh yeah,
in a really efficient way.
A lot of hosting sites will actually install WordPress for you.
Yeah, and you'll end up with that, "Hi, I'm making a stupid blog," intro post that some people forget to delete.
I was about to say that everyone deletes, but apparently I'm wrong.
No, I've seen one. I was actually laughing when I looked at the very beginning of one, and it was still there. I was like, "Really? You didn't delete that? That thing's so stupid." No, I mean, I think your best bet with doing a blog, though, is having an angle. And by that, I mean, like a specific goal in mind.
I don't necessarily think you need an angle, because there's a lot of anime blogs, and this is this is true both in the past and the present. That is just Kenji Bag of Donuts opinion on anime, and that's literally the angle was, okay, I'm the author of this blog, and here are my thoughts on whatever I'm watching at the time.
Okay,
that's basically what She's Lost Control anime was, until I started going more in a sort of Task Force MOE direction with the editorials and whatnot.
I've always said that your move to Yashike and things like that has always been meta in terms of what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're kind of like bigger picture kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. Here's how I refer to it is Task Force MOE was, and this is going to be a dramatic terminology, but Task Force MOE was the tearing down of the old structure, and Iyashike is building up a new structure.
Right.
So a lot of Task Force MOE was, okay, here are all the hypocrisies of all the current opinion leaders in the anime subculture, and here's where they're wrong, and here's where they have to know they're wrong, but are talking these talking points because they have a particular agenda to push, and and all that, so on and so forth. And here's how they're doing active damage to the community. And then Iyashike was, okay, we've talked about all of that. Here's how we can build ourselves up into a more positive paradigm where we don't need any of these people anymore.
Well, one thing I do miss that you used to have that you don't anymore is those profile things you did.
The character things?
Yes. I always kind of like those.
I might go back to doing that. Like I might do that on Iyashike from an Iyashike angle. Like you're talking about having an angle. Iyashike definitely has an angle.
Well, yeah,
Task Force MOE definitely had an angle.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, like, sometimes you'll see blogs that are specifically about old, like, mecha, or about just posting loot.
Certainly. But what I'm saying is,
I'll give you an example of one I used to like that I thought was a good one, even if it was kind of structured a little weird.
That's mostly what I do now. Is just put this thing.
Right.
Is Moetry. You may or may not remember this one.
Yeah, I remember Moetry.
Yeah, it was connected with Danbaru.
Yep.
If you remember that. I think the guy who ran it actually created that. Or maybe I'm wrong, but I know it was connected with it somehow. But it was great because he always had these loot picks, and first off, this person had to have money.
Yeah.
Because they were always buying shitloads of stuff, and it's like, I know how expensive this shit is. So you're not telling me you don't have some cash, or you're seriously in debt. But one thing they used to do that was really entertaining was at the end, for the short amount of time they were there, which is 3 years or something like that, they would do like the Arrow Anime Roundup, basically. Right. And they would basically pick the top 10 ones of the year. And obviously, those were obviously a taste thing. But his little reviews for that were, needless to say, fucked up and would make feminists have a heart attack. But entertaining.
But yeah, what I'm saying is, there are plenty of anti-bloggers that get by without having an angle. They just have interesting perspectives and are good writers.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a way you can interpret that as saying that people with angles aren't that. That's not what I'm saying, because remember, for a while and even currently, I was an anti-blogger with an angle. Task Force MOE there's a big war going on. The anime fandom,
the Anubis angle,
and that was my angle.
But soon about to be copyright striked by Laura Ingram.
Certainly, but this isn't just me saying it. A lot of people would tell me that my writing for Task Force MOE was very good. So
Mm.
you don't need to, well, and this is to be successful, like, and whatever your measure of success is as far as the, like, having appreciation from other people, a lot of other people. You don't really have to have an angle. You have to be a good writer. And what I'm seeing from modern day anime blogging is a lot of the not so good writers have sort of fallen off, and the people who are still around anime blogging are the people who are good at it. I might not agree with their perspective, but a lot of them are admittedly very good writers, and that's what counts. But only if you're trying to gain any sort of recognition and you're not just doing an anime blog for your own gratification, which a lot of people do, and that's perfectly fine.
I don't think there's really a wrong way to blog in this department. I mean, there's certainly more efficient ways and more interesting ways than others, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's really a wrong way per se.
Yeah, no, they'll give a free WordPress site to anyone. You can write whatever you want on there. I don't know if it's whatever you want, but you can, if you're anime blogging, you're not really gonna run into anything as far as not being able to, as far as doing anything wrong. There's really no wrong way to go about it. But if you're looking for any sort of recognition or accolades, just write well.
Well, this is what. Okay, yeah, you called it personnel reconnaissance.
Personnel reconnaissance.
Oh, geez, This is before the podcast even. June 3rd, 2011. Wow. That was almost 8 years ago.
I'll look back at some of my old articles, and I'm past the point where I'm highly embarrassed by my old work, and now I just go back to my old work and sort of like nod. It's like, yeah, I was correct.
Maybe I would have worded it differently now.
Yeah, it's
but
like maybe I would have worded this differently, but I'm no less correct now than I was when I wrote this, which is sort of alarming, given some of the stuff I was writing about, especially on Task Force MOE. But there's even if I'm right about the wrong thing, it still feels kind of good being right, and being right so early in the game.
What's really funny about this is I no longer remember my password for my Gravatar. It's that old.
But yeah, start an anime blog. We need more anime blogs. Remember when you like this is like this is like anime blog nostalgia at this point. Remember
seriously.
Back when we were doing anime blogs, and like you discover other blogs through other bloggers' blog rolls.
Oh yeah, holy shit.
Remember
yeah.
blog rolls in the first place?
Yes, I do. Dude, that's how you fucking got around. It was like a slightly more updated version of a web ring.
Exactly.
And it operated the same way. It's like, oh, I like these people. You should check these people out.
So it was that, and there were these little, like, bloggers would get together and start these little group blogs. Like I was part of the Moe Coalition.
Yeah, remember how many people you pissed off with that?
Yeah.
Like just its very existence managed to anger people.
Yeah, managed to make some people very mad, and I don't know why.
Or remember
I was just talking about the shit they were doing. And so I don't know why.
Remember when I made like I guess it would be considered sort of an Urban Dictionary level deal?
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm about to say, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I have a feeling if I dug it up, I would still find it funny and still agree with it. Also, maybe I'd have worded it differently now. But
yeah.
Maybe not. I was trying to be a dick, and I succeeded because I managed to piss off some British wanker.
People got really mad, and I don't know why.
I know exactly why. It's because the last one hit a little too close to home.
They hit him a little too close to. It described them a little too accurately for their liking.
Yeah, I mean, because like all of a sudden I started getting a fuck ton of hits, and like people were getting butt mad.
The young guy that thinks he's an old school guy.
The guy who's younger than me, who is somehow nostalgic for a bunch of things he was not alive to experience.
Well, let's not get into who's who here so much as it was funny that somebody got butt mad enough to respond.
Yeah.
But that wasn't it, though. I even started seeing it elsewhere, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it got around quite a bit.
Yeah, which only kind of proved my point.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
that
I don't know why all of you are mad, except maybe I'm right.
I mean, what's really funny is even after being people complaining about it, I never did say I was wrong.
No, of course not.
You know, like I never said like, oh, maybe point or something. No, I didn't. Because it was like, no, you took it personally because you're fucking a humorless jack off.
Well, like that's like back when I did those two posts about anime criticism, and Zach got mad at me.
And he actually showed up in your comments. That was great. Which by the way is actually on ED.
Oh yeah.
Encyclopedia Dramatica. That reference is there. Like I about shat the first time I saw that.
For all time immemorial. Yep.
Yeah, seriously, I about crapped my pants when I saw that. I was like, no way. Good times, reminiscing here.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
Well, what's weird about that is, in a way, we all met each other through that.
Yep.
Basically.
Well, remember, this isn't even our first podcast.
No, like, okay, for people who don't know, we actually did 6 trial episodes. And I know there were 6. And they are completely unavailable, and I'm actually kind of happy about that.
Yeah, this is one of the few things that has disappeared from the internet.
And then I'm kind of glad it has.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I could listen to it. I don't even listen to the old episodes of this.
Same here. I was about to say.
And I'm sure if I did, I'd be like, what did I say? Or I don't agree with that anymore. What the fuck? Or I was just outright wrong when I said that. Pronounced shit wrong or said something just completely that was like, I mean, the thing is everybody does that.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to anything that's been on for a while, you will see that change. You will see people change their opinions about certain things, and it's really funny and probably embarrassing when it gets pointed out. Like, I don't have a specific thing, but I'll just throw out something that's not very important. Like, when we first started the podcast, like, Kaon, my favorite character, was Azusa. And I remember saying that. And it's not anymore. I actually like Mio more now.
She's my second favorite.
So it's, but you see what I mean, though? Like,
yeah.
If somebody listens to an old episode and then like a newer one, and where I mentioned that, they'll be like, wait, what? Based upon some of the things I said.
Right.
And I know that. Again, I've listened to podcasts and things that have been on for a long time, and I've seen that sort of thing. We also got into a couple pod wars.
Yeah.
One in particular that was kind of funny.
Wars.
That lasted about as long as a firework going off.
Yeah.
That was entertaining. And it happened early on, too. That's the funny thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like, oh, here we go. We've started a Hatfield and McCoy kind of thing here. Didn't really play out that way. It could have, but it didn't.
Or friggin', I got really mad at John Paul from Fight Bait.
Yeah.
And like and it was supposed to be this big showdown. Like he and I were gonna get on Skype and argue,
which sounds really corny.
Sounds really stupid and nerdy when I say it. But like we both got on Skype and like had nothing to talk about.
We're gonna throw down. We're gonna get into some nerd rage. What's funny is if you look at his tweets, you can probably find that. when that all went down.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, so we both got on Skype and like had nothing to argue with each other about. Like, so
It's like,
like
yeah.
we both kind of saw each other's points and just started bullshitting about like
do you
drinking at
like
cons and
orange
shit.
soda?
So hey,
That's actually pretty funny. I'm sure he would find it humorous.
oh no, it's like somehow we're bros now.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. Wonder what he's up to.
He's doing a new podcast actually. It's a spin-off of his Whiskey Thursday podcast.
Okay.
It's actually
Have you-
fucking hilarious.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it a listen. I know he occasionally pops in. I mean, I don't think he announces it, but
Yeah,
anything
Dead Rat
else?
Pizza is the name of the podcast.
what's it called?
Dead Rat Pizza.
Okay, that's peculiar. Is it similar in style or
It's just a bullshitting podcast. He
what are
and
they just
whoever
like
else is
talk
on the
about random
show
shit?
yes, talk about random shit, and it's fucking hilarious. And
Okay.
I can't even talk about it because I wouldn't do any of these stories justice.
Okay, I'll check it out.
I was listening to that shit at work, dude. I was choking on my own laughter, trying not to just bust out laughing in the
Who is
middle
it?
of work.
Who's this on there?
This is John Paul from Fight Bait.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's the show.
Mm.
Cube the Third started an anime blog. That's the show.
Mm.
The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. The website is ntradio.net.
Buy my book.
VZ's book is The Big Book of Idols. You can find it at thebigbookofIdols.com. My stuff is at iyashike.moe. If you add /store to that, you can get to the t-shirts of which NTR Radio has t-shirts.
Buy the t-shirts too.
VZ stuff is at vzmk2moemekigatai.wordpress.com.
Yep, still here.
Okay, guys, you were going to say something?
Yeah, and I totally had a brain fart, so it doesn't matter.
You can find the Bakugajin Show and Otaku Midnight. Both those podcasts are really good. Also check out Dead Rat Pizza because that's also a really good podcast.
Well, if it's anything like Whiskey Thursday,
Yeah, exactly.
it'll be funny.
Hit up the Geeky Panda stuff at thegeekypanda.net. I'm at T Anubis on Twitter. KGods is at immortal_KGods on Twitter. VZ Mark 2 is at VZMK2 on Twitter. The show is at NTR_radio on Twitter. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
I'm K-Gods.
And I'm a very tired VZ Mark II.
And even though we missed the last 4 episodes of Zoid's Chaotic Century every time we say it, this is NTR Radio.